Genna I mae'r fraint o gau y Cynhadledd, a dwi am ddechrau trwy ddiolch i chi gyd aelodau, ffrindiau. Pob un sy'n gwneud y gwaith caib a raw sy'n gadw'r blaid yma i balu ymlaen. I bob un ohonoch chi sy'n nocio drysau a ran yn Plaid, gwneud y galwadau ffôn, plygu a ffostio taflenni, chi ydy Plaid. Chi sy'n neud y blaid yma, chi di calon y blaid yma. Ac wrth gwrs, gadewch i mi ddeud hyn yn glir, yr hyn sy'n amlwg. Hebddwch chi, dos na ddim ffasiwn peth a Plaid Cymru. Hebddwch chi, dos dim gobaith am y newid a mae Cymru mor dair i hangen. Felly, diolch o galon i chi oll. A diolch hefyd i staff y blaid am eich gwaith di-ddiwedd wrth drefnu'r Cynhadledd arbennig yma sydd wedi bod y fwyaf bywiog ers blynyddoedd. A mae yna, ond oes, mae yna rhywbeth mawr ar ddigwydd yng Nghymru. A heb staff, heb actifyddion, heb gwirfoddolwyr, ymgyrchwyr y blaid, so hwnna yn syml ddim yn bosib. Diolch hefyd i staff Neuadd Brangwyn yma yn Abertawe am edrych ar yn holel ni, mor dda am y ddau ddiwrnod diwetha. A da ni wedi bod yn dod at yn gilydd yn Neuadd o didog hon o dan lliwiau'r alunydd Ffranc Brangwyn. A mi oedden nhw wedi anharo fi pan nes i gyrraedd, a o'n i'n jyst yn edrych, achos dwi erioed wedi cael y fraint o fod yma o'r blaen. Ac o'n i'n edrych a be di y lluniau yma, achos maen nhw'n draw iawn. O'n i ddim yn gweld nhw gyd, achos mae rai tu nôl y sgrin a'r llwyfan. Ond, a dwi'n meddwl bod hyn yn ddiddorol, dyma'r British Empire Panels. A gafon nhw eu comisiynu, wrth gwrs, i ddathlu ffyniant a grym yr ymhyrodraeth Brydeinig yn ei hanterth. Oedden nhw i fod i fynd i dir arglwyddi, ond gaddon nhw i gwrthod, os oedden nhw rhy lliwgar. Sy'n ddiddorol. Ond, tu allan ddoe, a dwi'n gobeithio bod chi wedi cael cyfle i weld y rain, roedd yna greiriau a llyfrau a nodiadau, ac yn ei plith nhw, llyfr nodiadau gafodd enwi, lle oedd yna enwau o sylfaenwyr ein plaid ni, Plaid Genedlaethol Cymru, fel ag yr oedd hi, i henwau nhw wedi nodi, a geis i ddal hynna yn llaw. Geis i droi tudalennau, geis i deimlo hynny, enwau yn sylfaenwyr ni, yn ei cyfarfod cyntaf ganrif yn ôl, wrth gwrs, i'r flwyddyn yma. A mae'r llawysgrifen hynny, y llawysgrifen frau yna, mae wedi gorisgyn, mae wedi dwy'n ffrwyth, yndi, lle mae'r ymhyrodraeth lliwgar wedi mynd i eborgofiant. Dwi'n meddwl bod hwnna'n rhywbeth i ni gofio yn y Cynhadledd arbennig yma. Friends, as they say, we live in interesting times. We are on the cusp of the most important election year Plaid Cymru has ever faced. For the first time, we are within touching distance of leading government in our country. We have a real chance to elect Rhyn ap Iorwerth as First Minister, a Plaid Cymru First Minister who will make it his mission to build a prosperous economy and a thriving Wales, unfettered by the loyalty that are the priorities of the Westminster parties, a government that puts people first. And of course, in the series of exciting policy announcements that we will be making, because it is the policies that will make the difference to the lives of the people of Wales, we made the announcement, Rhyn, you made the announcement yesterday, that we will be investing in our children's futures, child payment, putting education first and foremost, with childcare that will release so many families out of poverty. An excellent, exciting, practical policy. conference, I suspect you all know me quite well by now because I've been speaking to you at conferences like this for over a decade. But for any of the newcomers, and partly because I've got the lectern now, I thought I'd like to remind people of my journey. I am a loud southeast London girl, born and raised on the other side of Offa's Dyke. No Welsh family connection, no breeding or pedigree that gives me the right to be an MP for Plaid Cymru in and of itself. But as a young woman, I came to Abertawe to study, and I found something extraordinary. I found a language that changed my life. I found a place where I belong. I found a community and communities that have welcomed me with open arms. I even found a patient husband, Dewi Wyn from Blaenau Ffestiniog. Diolch yn fawr iawn am yr holl amynydd dros y blynyddoedd. And he deserves that, he deserves that. There are times we need that. So what I want to say, being Welsh is not about where you're born or who your parents were. It's not about the colour of your skin. Being Welsh is about belonging. It's about shared values, respect, solidarity and community. Gwynfor Evans said, and I think some of you will remember this, anybody can be Welsh, they just have to be willing to face the consequences. Well, those consequences today, they include recognising that in Wales we value community. We understand the need to work together for common solutions. Being Welsh is not about the hatred of others. And I am proud to say, Welsh heart and soul. I have been elected by my community despite not being born and bred there, but because my community knows that anyone can be Welsh, as long as they are committed to the place and the people of that place. Welsh nationalism has never been about claiming that we're bigger or we're better. It's about caring for the place that we call home, as dark forces rumble in our communities and on our smartphones. We have to defend a Welshness that welcomes, one that includes and builds rather than divides, a Wales confident enough in itself to offer others a place to belong, a Wales confident enough in its own identity, our own identity, that we need never fear someone else's. That is what we in Plaid Cymru are building. Living Welsh values. We are building a welcoming nation. There are people with no love of Wales and no love of standing up for the vulnerable who want to make this election about the hatred of others. They want to turn our compassion into a weapon. I'm not going to stand here and tell you the asylum system is working. We know it's broken and chaotic. People are right to be distressed about a system that makes crossing in small boats, small plastic boats, the only option that leaves people lingering for months in hotels because of a backlog. But let us be clear what this election is about. This Senedd election is not about asylum policy. How can it be? Because those powers lie with Westminster, not Cardiff. What is within our power is how we respond to our neighbours, wherever their journey began. And Wales has always been a compassionate nation. Of course, we welcomed children from the Basque Country during the Spanish Civil War. We welcomed refugees from Uganda when they were sent from there by Idi Amin. And more recently, we have been delighted to see how our teachers have taught Welsh to children from Ukraine, from Afghanistan, and from Syria. We've delighted in seeing that. And when the turquoise Tories in Reform UK Limited rage about sanctuary funding, let's remember this. Over 80% of that funding has gone to help Ukrainians, while their own former Welsh leader, Reform's own former Welsh leader, admits to taking bribes for pro-Russia statements, and that while much of the UK media looks the other way. We in Plaid Cymru will say it plainly. We know the difference between compassion and corruption, between solidarity and self-interest, between standing up for Wales and selling Wales short, because that is who we are. We are a nation confident enough in our identity to offer kindness to others, a nation secure enough in our patriotism to show humanity in the face of hate, where we don't scrutinise those in need but reach out our hand. That is our strength. That is gladgarwch, a way better word than patriotism, a way better word than patriotism. And that is the Wales Plaid Cymru holds as a treasure. That is the world, the Wales that means so much to us, that we treasure. And conference, we are swimming against a global tide that drags us away from democracy. Unless we hold back that tide here where we can, we will be overwhelmed by a MAGA Welsh government, its agenda moulded by donors linked to tax havens, fossil fuel interests and climate science denial even. And Plaid Cymru is now, in the here and now, the only means, the only movement big enough to turn that tide and bring Wales with us. Friends, we must do that. These grand words, patriotism, nationalism, devolution, these are words that mean little to many people in Wales. Too many people are in poverty, unable to put good food before their children, dreading every next energy bill. Why should they even begin to care about the branding of the party running the government? Yet in the middle of that hardship and disillusionment, there are people who remind us what politics can be, who prove that public service still matters. And I hope he's in the room, and I think he is here, but one of those people is our Lindsay Whittle. And I'm going to congratulate him now because he is an engine at work, a powerhouse. Yeah, good, yeah. In the back, excellent man. Few people demonstrate the values and principles of our party as well as Lindsay. 50 years of public service. Lindsay, you fought to defend libraries, schools, hospitals and public spaces from the claws of austerity. You've expanded Welsh medium education for working class families. Conference, this is Welsh patriotism. This is gladgarwch in action, not driving wedges between people, but bringing them together as one community. This is what we do when we are at our best. But yes, there is of course fear and anger in our communities, but fundamentally, that spirit endures. We look out for each other. We support our neighbours. We belong. And this is the Wales I have come to know and love over the long years it's been my home. And the Wales everyone here in this hall knows and loves too. Not the Wales of shouting go home at those who build their lives here, but let's prove it by doing everything we can to elect Lindsay in Caerphilly. The work that we can do between now and the 23rd of October, it matters. Now, just to talk about your MPs in London, our values don't stop at the train station. When we go to London next Monday morning, sad to say, we will carry those values with us to Westminster and we will make them count for Wales. We've exposed Westminster's double standards. We've intervened to do our best to call out just the sheer inconsistency, the hypocrisy of Labour over saving steel in Scunthorpe while leaving Port Talbot behind. People in Wales will never forgive Labour for that betrayal. We've led calls for fair taxation so the super rich pay their fair share. Our years of campaigning have led to a small, but one actually hugely significant achievement, the official publication of justice data for Wales for the first time. That will prove the need to devolve criminal justice and justice to Wales. We've spoken out loudly for peace on behalf of Wales against the genocide in Gaza, and we can't count on most Labour MPs to do that for Wales. Labour leadership means defending Wales and standing for global justice those two things together. Each and every member of the Plaid Cymru group at Westminster embodies the values of our party through our work. A year in, Llynos and Anne have proved themselves. The stats prove that they are the most active new Welsh MPs elected in 2024. Not bad. Dyna ddim yn ddrwg, Anne. Dyna ddim yn ddrwg. Llynos Medi has championed communities' right to control their own resources through her work on the Crown Estate. She's been building the case for giving Wales the same powers as Scotland, and she's given credibility to that campaign, which is now, of course, backed by all 22 local councils in Wales. But even now, hey, our overlords in the Wales office think they know best, and they refuse to listen to everyone, all those representatives of Wales democracy. Compassion runs through the core of Anne's work. She has led opposition to the UK's cruel welfare policies, warning that cuts to universal credit and PIP will punish struggling families, as we know they do. She has campaigned against the two-child benefit cap, which condemns over 300,000 children to poverty. And she has fought planned changes to the agricultural property relief, which will devastate family farms, particularly here in Wales. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Anne. Gan fod ti yma. And Ben Lake's work, Ben, who of course has become a new father, which is wonderful. Behind the scenes, he has ensured that Plaid secured, for the very first time, 3 seats on the Welsh Affairs Select Committee, with Ben at the forefront. He's led debates in Westminster to secure justice for his constituents. He has wronged miscarriages. He's worked to help people who have been wronged by miscarriages of justice. He has held the UK government to account, scrutinising budgets at home and challenging the Foreign Office's stance on Gaza abroad, including, of course, pressing for recognition of a Palestinian state. In the Lords, Carmen and David have been standing up for justice. Carmen has championed coal tip safety and campaigned against online sexual abuse. She opposed cynical attempts to bundle the prescription of Palestine action with unrelated far-right extremist groups defending democratic scrutiny. Her work has been recognised, and she was named as one of 2025's Women in Westminster, the 100. And David Wigley is progressing the Crown Estate Wales Bill through the House of Lords, advancing without opposition, which says something about the power that he brings and the credibility that he brings to his role. Carmen and David have proved that even in the most undemocratic of institutions, Plaid Cymru can give a real voice to the people of Wales. But there's always a but, isn't there? There is still more to do. We continue to live our values in action. We must stand up for our democracy, speaking out against corruption, foreign interference, and those who would dismantle, destroy our Cynhadledd. We must fight for fairness, fair funding for Welsh communities, fair taxes on the ultra-wealthy and big corporations, and fair treatment for families struggling to make ends meet. We must invest in our future, protecting jobs, nurturing small businesses, empowering local communities to control their resources and their futures. Conference, when people talk about losing faith in politics, what they really mean is losing faith that anybody is truly listening. Our task, Plaid Cymru's task, is to prove that listening still matters, that government can, once again, belong to the people governments are there to serve. Rebuilding faith isn't done in halls like this, although it raises our hearts. It is done back out in our communities. If we do that, faith will return, not just in us as politicians, but in all of us, our communities, the people of Wales. So the choice for Wales is clear. Seize our future with hope for the future, with Plaid Cymru, or lose it in a swamp of Reform UK's negativity. And let us show, Cynhadledd, gadewch yn ei ddangos, let us show in everything we do that putting the people of Wales first is who we are. Diolch o galon I chi all.